Hello, hello. Welcome to day 1534 of Connecting the Thoughts. Well, for those of you who've been following through, you know that I'm running a 5-day challenge. We did a little skip for this week because it was Eid weekend. And I have with me my star speaker today, Nicola Ablett, and she is the Chief Disruptive Innovator. She is an amazing person, somebody that I have gotten into conversation with, and I feel like I know her since forever. And I'm not going to keep her away from you guys because that would just be such a shame. Hello, Nicola. How are
Good
you?
afternoon.
Good
Yes.
afternoon. Thank
Good
you for
afternoon.
accepting the challenge, the amazing work that you do with prison brain mapping and everything else, the wonderful conversations we've had. And now it's our time to do this. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a
And
pleasure to
today,
be.
thank you. And today we are talking about rushing with breath creates chaos. What comes to your mind as I say that?
Well, the first thing that came to mind was when I had my second child, and the midwife said to me, breathe, breathe. So I was trying to breathe, and then I realized I wasn't just breathing, I was hyperventilating, which is definitely breathing in a rush, and then you become over oxygenated. And I thought I was breathing in a controlled manner. So when the midwife sort of tapped me on the knee and said, "You're hyperventilating," it's like, "Oh, okay." So slow down, and that's the first thing that came to mind about rushing with breath can cause chaos. So, like if you're delivering a baby, the last thing you need is to be high on oxygen because you've hyperventilated. So you cause chaos.
Right.
And
And doesn't
that's what I thought
yeah,
of.
right. And doesn't that often happen when there's a lot going on in your mind? You are also rushing with your breath. You're shallow breathing. You're just like one breath after the other. It's like this chugga chugga machine that's going on, but it's getting you nowhere. It's like so much chaos in your head that's going on. It could be something that you're upset about. It could be something that you're nervous about. It could be anything at all. And then there's just this chaos that's happening because you're not breathing properly enough. Look at me, I'm muddling my words. That's the kind of chaos that's going on here. So tell me about that.
Yeah, well, that's again because most of us don't breathe from the diaphragm. When we say to people breathe in, they go, and they actually
Yeah.
reduce the capacity of their lungs, their vital lung capacity, I think it's called.
Yes.
And most of us only breathe from about 30% of our full capacity. And so we breathe in and we go, breathe in, which is absolutely the opposite of what we should be doing. We should be filling our lungs with air, which means our chest wall and everything should expand as the air comes in. And then when you exhale, it goes inwards, and the opposite of what 99% of us do. And unless we've done stuff like relaxation techniques, or we've learned to do I can't do it with my glasses on, the alternate nostril breathing, which, as I've said to many people, you can do that just sitting at your desk. Nobody needs to know what you're doing because
Exactly.
you can do it quite discreetly. And if you're under pressure, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling stressed, you're getting angry, then getting the breathing back under control gives you it's kind of a grounding in some ways. It's like, so when you're doing squats in the gym, you definitely need to have your feet square, well placed, with your back straight, etc. So it's a grounding kind of thing. And a friend of mine used to do her mindfulness in the gym when she was squatting, because that's where she felt most grounded. And that's another interesting part of the chaos. There's an amazing woman called Pam Gregory. She's an astrologer, and I mean proper astrology. I don't mean magazine Barnum effect. She has a YouTube channel called So You Don't Believe in Astrology. And she's been talking quite a lot this year with all the chaos that's going on. And a lot of people are not breathing properly. And they're not only not breathing their full vital capacity, but they're not breathing from their hearts either. And if you start to come down and breathe from your heart and use your lungs, then you become more grounded, and then you can be more positive and less chaotic.
True.
What do you think?
True, definitely. And when I talk about my smile strategy, the very first step is silence the mind, right? It's about putting a silence to all the thoughts that are rushing through your head. And one of the techniques is square breathing, where you are, belly breathing, and also it's square breathing. So you're breathing for a count, you're holding your breath, then you're letting go, and then you're holding your breath again. So it's like imagining yourself walking across the four walls of a square garden, and you're breathing through it. And when I run my sessions, I ask people to do that as a demonstration, because the first thing they say when I say silence your mind is, how do you do that? So when we do square breathing together, they have that experience of having silenced their mind, having focused on their breath, and realizing that they can calm it down. And it's a beautiful way to actually set them in the right head space and heart space, so that they're more receptive to understand what's going on in the training. So it's good. It's just about being aware of what's going on.
It's like everything. We don't breathe effectively and efficiently, so we become chaotic, and we're not doing the best for our bodies. It's like the listening and the hearing. Many people hear, which is unconscious, but not many people listen, which is conscious. And the same thing with looking and seeing. A classic example is in Ras Al Khaimah. There used to be a place called, what was it called? Iceland.
Yes.
And if you're down between Al Hamra and Mina Al Arab, you would drive. It was the biggest ice park in UAE originally,
Right.
and they knocked it down one day. Well, it maybe wasn't one day. It may have taken a few
It
more
must have
days.
taken some time, but
But I
yes.
hadn't been in that area, so I hadn't seen it. And I'm driving along, not mind in neutral, but thinking beautiful thoughts, paying attention, looking, and then I suddenly, like, something's missing. So I actually had to pull over and gather myself and think for a few moments. What's gone?
What's gone? Exactly.
What's gone?
Exactly.
So it's like, again, it's about it being aware of our breathing, listening and seeing is so important. Otherwise, everything does become very chaotic. So and you rush because you're trying to get somewhere, and that's where you fall over, or you have accidents, or something else happens.
True. So we have a question. Lata asks us. She says, "Isn't that momentary?" So when you are, it's what she says is, I mean, attention to breathing to experience a silent mind. Isn't that momentary? The moment my attention to breathing goes, the mind returns to chaos. Thank you for that question.
It's a good question. I think it's about practice. Most people wear watches that don't require winding. What are they called? Well, this the difference. There's two different kinds. And when the watch ticks, most of the time we don't hear it.
True.
But when we hear it, then we notice it, we take note, and then it's like the inevitable drip. It starts to irritate us. So then we tune it out. I think we can, I'm convinced that we can learn to, I think, is it the Buddhists that talk about the monkey mind and the mind of the oxen, about quietening the monkey mind?
It is the Buddhist, yes.
I think it's a practice. I think it's a practice. Breathing is a practice. Listening is a practice, and seeing. It's about engaging heart and mind, and moving forward. Not necessarily being aware, but being aware.
Being mindfully aware. Yes.
Yeah, because I think there's mindfully. Your mind is full, and there's mindful.
Yes,
And
true.
play on words, but I think
True.
mindfully, I mean, that there is mindfulness is very, very valuable, But again, if you're not grounded, it can be quite
It can be.
dangerous.
It can be.
And there's a
And
lot of
actually,
research recently on that.
true. And as you were sharing that, what came to my mind was ice baths. So last year, I went on this rampage of trying out cold showers, cold ice baths. So initially, when I would, have that scoop full of cold water, I would
Suck in
literally
breath.
suck in your breath and kind of panic. But then as I got accustomed to it, I began to appreciate it because I also began to realize that once this is over, I have a very different spring to my feet. I enjoy the day. I come out feeling, invigorated. So the fear of that coldness suddenly got shifted or changed to the enjoyment of what it is bringing to me in terms of value. So just, I guess, where this is coming from is your elaboration on practicing. So once you are in that flow and knowing what is the benefit of doing something, you then begin to do that more effectively moving forward.
Yeah, and less consciously.
Hmm. Yes.
Because it's become a pattern. It's like there's all these different definitions of forming a habit: 21 days, 28 days, 40 days. Different people talk about um, how long it takes to form a habit. But the thing is the frequency, and it's like
Hmm.
you and this commitment of doing this commitment every day. The
Hmm.
timing may vary, but it is a 24-hour, it's a daily commitment depending on where you are in the world as well, because let's
Absolutely.
face it, everywhere in the world it's going to be
A
4 o'clock
different time.
somewhere.
Exactly.
1600 hours, as I would say. Yeah.
True, true, true.
Yeah.
So this is brilliant because you're talking about habits, and one of the things that I am very soon going to be start is my next batch of the 21-day habit building program, Habits of Success. It's called Reset for Success. So
Mhm.
link is in description. If anybody listening to us here would like to start setting up those habits of success and reset for success, do enroll and register because we have some early bird offers there. So if that's something that you're keen on, one please do. Lata adds to say, mindfulness is attentiveness, mindfulness is the clutter. Thank you so much. Makes complete sense. Love it.
That's lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
well,
Absolutely.
again, maybe it's clutter, but sometimes it's in the back of the archive, and occasionally you need to pull it forward, and it's as long as it's filed reasonably effectively, and you
Yeah.
can retrieve it, it's not necessarily clutter. But
Yeah.
but good point. Mindfulness and mindful, one L and two L's, very important. Like my name, double T.
Double T. Double T. Awesome.
Yes.
So lovely, Nicola. And as we close this conversation, is there something else that you would like to add and share about being mindful, about the chaos, about breathing?
Breathing. The breathing is the main part. I mean, if we find ourselves in a state of confusion or distress or under extreme pressure, as if we just stop and breathe, and we breathe, as I would say, breathe from the diaphragm, you would say breathe, belly breathe, or Pam Gregory would talk about breathing from the heart. I think
Hmm.
the main thing is to stop, steady ourselves, and as my late father used to say, is engage brain before opening mouth.
Yes. Gosh, that is
Yes,
so so important. Uh, when
yes.
when I have my sessions, when I ask people, "Are you breathing from your chest up or from your belly up?" People, what they say is, some people are quite interested and they engage in the conversation. Some people don't at all, not even for the for the belly, not even for the chest. And I say,
Mm.
do I need to call the ambulance? Because if you're not going to raise your hand for either of them, then what is going on?
Are you breathing, in
Are
fact?
you breathing? Do I need to call in an ambulance? So yeah, that's a great way to start
The
conversation.
big thing about the breathing is once we start looking at it, feeling it, thinking it, engaging with it, and again, it's interesting because of words, because belly may mean one thing to somebody, a stomach means something else, which is one of the reasons I use the word diaphragm, because most people know where their diaphragm is. But it's again, it's culture, it's language, and it's getting a language that everybody understands. But we can train ourselves to use more of our vital capacity, and I think that's very important, because a lot of people would be more focused, as in organized, concentrating, not as in looking, they would have more center of focus if their breathing was better, more effective, and they were actually getting more oxygen into their lungs. So I think that's very important. Patterns of behavior. Breathing, very important.
Yes, it
Breathing,
is.
very important.
Yes, it definitely is. And we've got Dale watching us all the way from Ohio. Thank you for joining us after a very long time. Dale, thank you. He says, stopping to smell the roses, mind clearing. That's important. Yes, it is. So brilliant. It's morning for him.
Yeah, 11
Interesting.
hours behind, probably.
Yes, it's probably the start of the day for him. Interesting next session. Thank you so much, Lata. Yes, we should have a next session. She's one of the people I have spoken with them at her school. So wonderful. I have, like I said, guys, when I started out, I can go on and on forever with Nicola. She is amazing as a conversationalist, as a coach, and as herself. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, guys. If this conversation has been of any value to you, please write in comments saying, I am mindful with a single L. I am
I am breathing, Ruqya. I am
okay. All right.
breathing.
Okay. A step back. I am
Sorry,
breathing.
but I am breathing.
Okay. Let's do that. I
I
am
am not
breathing.
living in chaos.
I am not living in chaos. I am breathing. Yes, I am. Thank you so much for the conversation.
It's
And
my pleasure.
please, if this has been of value to you, give it a like, share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel. And until tomorrow, keep smiling, keep shining, stay safe, and thank you. Stay
Masalama.
connected. Masalama. Until
Shukran
tomorrow,
jazilan.
see you tomorrow. Afwan.
Okay.
All
Masalama.
right. Bye.
Masalama. Bye.